Blog Talk Radio.
Archangels, ghosts, and Bigfoot, oh my. It's just another night for Supernatural Girls. Real stories, real answers to life's biggest supernatural mysteries. And now for another exciting interview with paranormal experts from this world and others. Here's your host, paranormal researcher Patricia Baker, on the one, the only Supernatural Girls.
Welcome, everyone, to another exciting episode of Supernatural Girls Radio. I'm your host, Patricia Baker, and I'm here with my co-host, Michelle Claire. How are you tonight?
I'm wonderful. How are you tonight?
I'm good. I'm very good, actually. I can't say how much better I could be than that, so I'm happy.
That sounds wonderful.
I'm happy. Yes, and I'm so happy. I have to tell you, I was thinking about our guests tonight, Edd Edwards and Lihi Introp, and a big smile just came across my face because I love these two people. They are so extraordinary. They are so good-hearted, and I absolutely love having them on the show. You're going to love them too, I know, and I'm so glad you're here to interview them and hear what's been going on. We haven't had them on. Lihi just told me it's been 2 years. I can't believe it's been that long. So they are just absolutely magical, powerful people, and just thrilled to have them here. But tell us about you. You've been gone a little bit, so what's new and what are you offering? You've got all kinds of things going on.
Yeah, well, I've been busy. I had one daughter graduate high school, so we had that last week, and the kids are out of school right now, so that's awesome. As far as work goes, I'm offering one-on-one readings. I have a webinar that's an online class I'm teaching tomorrow morning, which people can go to my website and sign up for. On June 11th, I will be in North Scottsdale if you guys are in the Phoenix area, and we will be doing a sound and energy healing, and I'll be doing readings at that. And so I've got some throughout the summer in-person and online events, and you can find all of those, or you could book an individual reading at michelleclaire.net.
That's perfect. Perfect. This is a good time to book a session with you and check in with the other side. Find out what they're up to over there, all the relatives and friends that have passed away. Let's see what they're up to. I think it's always a good thing to find out. So
I think so too, and we're halfway through the year, so it's a good time to get yourself back on track and focus to see how you want to finish strong.
That sounds perfect. I want to finish strong. I do. So,
great.
So there's been a lot of requests about last week's show with Agi Nos, and we were talking about ghost technology, all the new ghost technology, Tesla coils, all kinds of stuff. It was great. He also got into time travel, and he gave us a couple of names of herbs that he uses for rejuvenation. So everybody was asking, will you please let us know again what were those herbs? So here they are. Astragalus is one, and Gymnestra is another. Now, Gymnestra also goes by another name. It's a Chinese name, but you can find both of these on Amazon or anywhere at a local herb shop. I'm sure carries these. But that's what Agi recommended. He said, look, I'm in my 70s and I don't look it and I certainly don't feel it. So that's what people wanted to know about. The other thing I wanted to do was on the air, I wanted to give a big thank you to Isabella Gaffoni. She lives in Italy. And she contacted me and asked if she could translate our interview with Corey Good. She loved it, she wanted to be able to translate it for her friends in Italy. So, of course, I said, yes, please, go ahead. So that has been done, and it's up on YouTube. I'm going to provide the link for people who may want Italian subtitles. I just thought that was such a generous offer. So thank you, Isabella. That was great. You did great work, and it looks terrific. Yeah, it's up on YouTube now.
Aww.
So that's where that's at. And Michelle, I wanted to bring something up with you because a long time ago you mentioned how going to antique stores or, buying things from secondhand shops could be challenging, right? Mm-hmm. For you.
Right.
And it can for me, too. And I just thought, I was thrilled you said it, because I thought maybe it was just me being weird, like all these people who go to these thrift shops and they buy all their clothes there and they love it and they get these great, I could not do that because of the energy in the clothes. And then when you said that, I wanted to ask you if you felt the same way.
Absolutely. And you know what? And I think it's a great thing, and I wish I could do that because I find a lot of finds. I see people that have amazing things, but what I find is even if I clear the item energetically, I can still feel the energy of the person who wore it or owned it. And so I kind of just don't ever feel like I'm in my energy if I do something like that.
Yeah, I'm the same way. So I can't ever do that. I tried it once, and the thing is gorgeous, and it's still hanging in my closet several years later. So yeah.
Yeah, I think
so how many of you are like that out there?
Real. Well, and here's the other thing. It's interesting, right? Because everything we own has energy on it, from either Mother Earth, from the people who manufactured it or whatever. But it's not necessarily if it's something that's been manufactured and printed as strongly as something that someone owned and wore. So I can go buy a new couch and sit on it, and I'm not picking up the energy from the people who created it because they're not really putting their energy on it. But if I go and get a couch that was in someone's living room for a few years, then I literally feel like I'm sitting in everyone's energy who was sitting on that couch.
Yeah.
Just a different level of energetic imprint.
Yes. Well, I'm so glad that you shared that. And now I don't feel like the only one. And how many of you out there feel the same way? Let us know. Send us an email or a text or something so that we know that maybe you're going through the same thing and you can't go to those stores either. Anyways, that's what happens when you're super sensitive, that's for sure. Well, tonight we have two very sensitive and extremely talented people that are joining us. And this is going to be great, everybody. If you're not familiar with Edd Edwards and Lihi Introp, this is going to be really special for you. They're going to be doing some live demos on the air, and you're just going to be very excited, I know. Don't miss this one. Don't walk away from the show. You got to stay with us because it's going to be great. Now, as a young child, Edd learned he could project energy in such a way that he could make people move without touching them. Now, both Edd and Lihi can do this because both are talented light photon generators. And they're also going to be talking about their latest research and their energy adventures worldwide. I know they are incredible in what they can do. So, to get back to Edd a little bit, he got this gift, he feels, from his grandmother. And this technique of photon projection can also help people heal themselves. So he's talked at length about the fact that he's not a healer, but he gives people the energy and they can then heal themselves. Now, both Edd and Lihi have been tested at the Rhine Institute, at the Monroe Institute, where Research Coordinator Ross Dunseath discovered that both Edd and Lihi were able to increase their own voltage significantly. So these two, I really have a lot to say about what they're doing now. So let me bring them on to the show. Welcome, Edd and Lihi. Pleasure to have you here.
Oh, we're great. Thank you. We're glad to be here. It's been a long time. I hated that the COVID has slowed us down like it did, but now I feel like we're kind of rebirthing now. We got some new ventures, though. We got some great new things to tell y'all about. And here's Lihi.
Yes, thank you for
yes.
I can't believe 2 years passed like a blink, right?
It is like a blink. When you said 2 years, Lihi, I had trouble believing that. I'm like, how can that be that we didn't drag them back onto the show before that. Oh, my goodness. We're not going to let that happen again. How's that?
Yeah, well, a lot's been going on with everything that's been going on. It's spice and humanity, and it's all energetic.
Yes, it is. Now, you live in New York, right? That's where your permanent location is. I know you travel down to Rhine, but you're in New York City.
I'm in New York City now. I was in the Rhine for all of last week in North Carolina, and I came back last night, and Ed is still there. Well, the Rhine Institute is so prestigious. The fact that you both go there and have been tested, and the researchers have such amazing things to say about both of you. I mean, it's, as we all know, a lot of things that get tested at Rhine and other institutes, Monroe, etc., that you can't replicate them. And somehow they've been able to replicate these things, the results, with both of you. So that's pretty powerful stuff. That's rarely done, and yet you two have been doing this consistently. So whoever wants to go first, tell us a little bit more about what you've been doing lately. Tell us about the photons, too, so people understand that and the difference between what you produce and what, say, an average person like I would produce. It's so much less, right? You guys are in the millions. Mm-hmm. I might be like around the hundreds, something like that. So explain that to the audience.
Okay, well, something we've learned here in our studies here, and especially here over the last year and a half, 2 years that we've done with the Rhine and this past week, I've brought my photons back down from hitting those high marks in the 2 millions and stuff range and brought it back down to a more controlled, longer pulses lasting, up to 15 minutes or so in the 800 to 900 range, or just around under 1,000 photons per half second. So by bringing them down, I've been able to get a much more fine control over how Lihi and I both are applying this energy to people to start up the healing systems within their bodies. I kind of learned it the hard way when I very first, Dr. Levengood kept trying to get me to use my energy to take pain or do something with people, and I wasn't sure what I was doing back in the 90s when he was studying me. And so when I finally did start doing a little bit on people or feel the people, I kind of sunburned them, got it too strong for them. And stuff. They weren't expecting what I was doing, and I wasn't really expecting it, because all our research up to that point had been just about how the energy was being generated in my body and how I was able to transmit it. Nothing about any healing or anything along them lines and stuff. And so I just kept going with it like that. And so now I brought that from those high levels that were just, hitting spikes and then going for, several seconds to minutes or so, and then hitting other high spikes, and then brought it down to where I've got a more constant flow. And then so with Lihi, hers is just a little bit on a little lower level, but we're seeing the same photons coming out of us and all. And especially with us focusing on targets being clients that people that are having problems and stuff. And it's just having a much greater effect on them. So all we got to do is shift your body's electrical system a little bit, then your systems do the healing, and we power you up.
Right. And now with the two of you, it's really amazing. Now, when the two of you generate these photons together, it increases, it gets more powerful with the two of you?
It resonates better. It comes into a more tuned in way.
Yeah, it becomes more integrated. It becomes more consistent. It becomes more smooth. So it's as if Ed and I are linking, and we're actually integrating. We're constantly integrating, and we're bringing in, because energy is everything. So energy is form and formless. So the energy that Ed is producing is very, it's these, the biophotons that are these, the gamma rays,
as well as myself, but I'm as well meeting Edd in those on those levels. There's entanglement that's going on between us as the masculine and feminine, because what we're doing actually, we're meeting on other levels, and we're like right there locked in with each other as if we're just, it just is, you know. There's no context, there's no past, there's no history, there's no storyline, the narratives about our lives. We're just
it's better. It's so much easier to demonstrate than it is to explain.
Yeah, we could demonstrate it so you could experience it for yourself.
Yeah. Well, let's go to the first demo here, and you can take over and tell the audience what you want them to do.
Okay, now this is going to work on all the audiences out there in the future that listen to the recording. So everyone in the audience, stand up for us that are able to stand up. If you're not able to stand up, if you're able to sit, just kind of sit up and balance. To stand up and have a loose stance. So Lihi and I, you know, we do this all the time. So we're already, I can feel her electricity mixing with mine, with our hands starting to be as they are. So we're going to start doing what we do. Now, Patricia, you've experienced it a little before, so I'm going to let you just kind of fill in the dead space here while we focus on all of you audience. So, Lihi, let's lock in on it.
Okay.
So everybody just relax in your stance and just let the energy take over from there. You should feel it immediately. I know I am. Michelle, do you feel that?
I do feel it.
It's really strong. Wow, you guys have gone nuclear.
It's palpable.
Let us just be quiet a second and let it lock in with all of y'all good, even those, all the audience and everybody in the future. Just lock into this. This is real. It's coming at you. It's measurable. So we're just going to be quiet for another few seconds here.
Yeah, just let the energy reveal itself. Don't think.
No thoughts allowed.
Okay, Lihi, let's set up a DC negative field, and we're going to pull everybody forwards on your tiptoes. So that should have everybody kind of leaning forwards.
Yep.
We're
leaning.
Okay. It may be delayed in some. Okay, now, Lee, let off on it. All right, we're going to reverse the electrical polarity on our ends, build a field up, and we're going to project and push on everybody. Give you a little gentle push backwards. That should be pushing you back. Some of you may have to take a step. Okay, let's let off of it, Lihi. Okay, now we're just going to kind of swing you around like a pendulum. You'll just kind of go around a little circle or so, or feel different things happening. And those of you experiencing pain, chronic pains, or anything like that, stress, emotional, mental stress, any of it, you're going to feel a lot better here shortly. So we're just going to swing you around and electrify everybody. You should feel a tingling sensation from fingers through the nervous system.
Yeah, this really is something.
And this is what makes us glow inside the biophoton chamber. When we turn this energy on like this, we produce biophotons like crazy. All righty. So everybody sit back down now. And so for the rest of the show, and we'll do another little demo at the end of it there, but for the rest of the show and all, the energy is going to continue. You're going to feel different effects in your bodies as we talk on things. You know, even though we've stopped the demonstration. Even in the future, you're going to have the same effects.
Still going to feel it, everybody, if you're listening to it after the live show.
Okay.
Yeah, this is tremendous. What did you think, Michelle? This is your first time experiencing this.
Yeah, I thought that was amazing. I almost felt a little bit like a rag doll when they were kind of doing the pendulum part, where it was just kind of swirling. Yeah. That was amazing. And I would say, actually, even before they shifted, I felt like I was responding to the mental shift of he's like, okay, now you're going to lean forward. Now you're going to go backwards.
Yeah,
I felt like I responded to the mental shift before the verbal shift.
Exactly. That's what happens to almost everybody we do that to, because I've already started it on my end before I ever say it. Mm-hmm. A lot of people pick up on that.
Yeah, we hear that a lot.
That was amazing.
Yeah. Boy, yeah, you guys are really, you're not kidding when you talk about the integration of your energy. That's really, really tight. I mean, since I last experienced both of you on the show, it definitely has changed and become tighter, more powerful, more focused.
That's right. And that's what we're endeavoring to do everywhere, so that, you know, to teach that so everybody can be more in this energy field where healing and evolution takes place.
And you do classes. You offer these classes to people, so tell everybody how they can join if they'd like.
Well, we're right now just restructuring them, and all. We've got a new website called Bire, BIRE-consciousness.com, and then that's where we're just now getting it all put together. We're presenting our research and all, and you can click live events and private sessions, and it takes you to Acuity. And then any of the little live events we do every week, where we do something like these podcasts, except on Zoom, we do a booster show, and we do a Monday night tune you up for an hour. You know, it can be all found on there, and people just find us, you know, from all over the world there. And it works just as good. It works better the more people we get. It's like stacking up batteries.
Mm-hmm. That's wonderful. Oh, goodness. Mm-hmm. Very exciting stuff. Now, when you're doing your target work at the Rhine, what have you seen happen? I mean, what are the researchers reporting back to you when you do this work?
Well, we see the neat thing about it right now in these studies. Now, I can't go into any detail because it is it's going to be a published and a granted. They did a big grant on it to do it. But we're seeing a mixture of energy of our brain activity and our heart and physiological data. So they hook up our heart, hook up a grounding wire, monitoring different frequencies in our bodies as we do this. And along with the biophoton unit.
So what are they finding that makes you two different? Because obviously there's something about you both that allows you to create this focused biophoton energy. Have they found out what the key is for both of you?
It's not them. Lihi's been interacting with her energies not like I was. I was the mischievous kid playing with this stuff, but she used hers. She used hers more in the mental conscious end of things. In fact, that's what she does for a living. Lihi, explain exactly what you do there, right quick.
Well, I'm in the mental health field, for over 25 years. But I think the mental health field is the entire humanity, quite frankly. And and so I've dealt with I'm a licensed therapist, psychotherapist, and I've worked with people with extreme psychiatric disorders, to people with neuroses, to people that want to evolve, to people that are enlightened. So on the spectrum of all that, and I've always been able to access this light, the source energy, and I would see it in people, no matter what even as a little girl. So I was always drawn to this energy, always knowing that what I was playing over here in life was a character. I knew this as soon as I turned to become a teenager, that was starting to, I don't want to, to actually evolve and bloom, I knew it was coming into a character. That being said, these people with psychiatric disorders are accessing different energies. You know what I mean? Either they're very high realms or they're people that are suppressed in a very low vibrational energy. So what Edd and I are doing, we're bringing in that integration and that teaching.
Well,
right.
Like Lihi says, she did it as a young child. I did it as a young child. I believe what's made us different and able to do these things is because we were aware of our energies from a young age. And then as we played with it in each of our own ways through life of growing up, we developed different abilities. That's what makes us so unique now. I haven't got a clue really mentally how to use it, but yet that's exactly up her alley and everything. So together we make a great team. You know, we come in there together kind of like covering every aspect of the human body with this energy field.
So while Lihi was the good girl, Edd, you were the naughty one, weren't you?
Yeah. Oh yeah, very much so. I did.
So give our audience who may not have heard you before a couple of stories of the things you used to do.
Well, I'm Lihi'd rather I not go into one.
No, you may do whatever you want. If somebody requests it, you do it here.
Give us your naughty stories.
Well, she's culturally brought up, and I was brought up in the country.
Right.
You know, and everything was kind of done different where I was brought up from the way of her life of being brought up. I was less restrained, whereas I guess she was more restrained or whatever. But I had a mischievous streak in me that, I still have it a little bit. And I could reach out with this energy. I could just look at my friends in preschool and stuff and just make a mess. You know, everything, the body works on electrical systems, and the bladder, works on just a special sequence there that I learned as a little bitty kid how to cause to come undone in people in local proximity. Now, back then I didn't know what it was, but it was just a good defense tool when the bullies would come at me. You know?
Yeah.
So I had those abilities. I still got them a little bit. I don't practice them or anything. And then I just had fun with it. I had friends that would put me up to stuff that knew what I could do that would help me get into a lot of trouble all the way up through high school. And
yeah, didn't you make people fart and stuff like that?
Yeah, that was that subject I wasn't going to hit on too hard, but expulsion of gas can be triggered with one of these waves of energy like we produced a while ago. So,
well, I would think that you would have fun with that as a child. Absolutely. That's a riot.
Oh, yeah. When you're 6, 7, 8, 9 years old and you could cause that to happen under command,
Yeah. That's power.
So,
Didn't you also do this in church?
Well, that's where I accidentally learned how to do it. during silent prayer.
It wasn't silence.
Right.
Yeah,
the silence is broken.
I just sat in there playing with it from the balcony and just pulling forward, pushing backwards, and then I don't know why, but my intuition, I learned to follow my intuition good long time ago, and preacher started praying, I just started pulling backwards on everybody that was downstairs, like, we pulled a while ago, and I just kept pulling backwards, and then when he got into silent prayer and it got quiet in there, I let go of it, reversed the electrical polarity, pushed and squeezed real hard, and started getting that thumping sound downstairs on them wood pews.
So I just think this would make a great television movie. Yeah.
So I practiced it every Sunday very religiously for 7 years.
That was his religion. That was his religion.
Yeah, that was my religion. Yeah, but the doctors,
just too funny.
The doctors now that study us, like those that studied me way back yonder, and I told them that story. They said, "Yeah, I practiced mentally changing the polarity in my brain from the time I was 6 years old on."
Wow.
So by being able to flip the electrical polarity at will consciously and then doing it back and forth for these millions of times that I have, it's like doing pull-ups and push-ups, but with the muscles in my brain. And so now
exactly.
We can just do all kinds of stuff. Lihi did it in her own way. She increased her brain potential through more of the mental connections and everything, and how she utilized her energies to link and connect with those around her.
Right. I utilized it so that I could integrate the energies here and become more whole. I mean, I wanted to basically, like, meeting Edd was a preparation for this. I was preparing for that role. I've always wanted to just kind of be, without thinking it, one with all those energies. And I would see it in very, very few people, and people couldn't really tolerate it because they would waver into their lower vibrations of personality and ego. But when I met Edd, I that's what I was looking for. I was looking for infinity. I was looking for unlimitedness without saying it. And I would try to find it in any situation. I would try to find it in a man. I would try to find it in whatever way. But and I had my trials and tribulations. But when I met Edd, the energy that he describes is really this energy. Whatever he's utilizing is, I recognize that energy. And that energy that he was kind of seeing me through was infinite. So it had nothing to do with my physical, my personality, my job. This was preordained. It was from somewhere. We're actually, speaking of energies, we're constantly bringing these energies that that are in these unseen realms that are extremely high, but also I'm integrating the part, because the emotional piece, if we're holding on to our anger and want to access this energy, it's gonna land in conflict within us, So there's a releasing of that. And by Edd and I actually connecting and accessing that, I'm actually bringing him into the level here to integrate as I'm going up. So it's a dance between pure consciousness and energy in humanity, with the limitations that are here and the structures that are here, that we're creating this web, or that we're weaving this web for people to actually open up to this state that we're talking about, which is the buyer state. Having all levels of consciousness work at the same time, accessing these energies.
So
right. You're streaming it. Yeah.
We haven't quite explained that yet, the buyer, what it is. To them. Some of the findings of the data they took on us, Patricia, back over the years, they kind of crunched out a lot of the numbers over the last couple of years, and they learned that when Lihi, and like with me through the EEG studies, when we get in the state of mind where we're sending this energy, like to all of you, or to working on people in pain or suffering that come to our events and stuff, Zoom stuff that we do, our brains start resonating in a way that it links up all levels of consciousness in there simultaneously. So the EEG studies start jumping from one level of consciousness to where it starts isolating out different sections of the brain operating at different levels of consciousness simultaneously. And so that's where we get at.
That's incredible.
We can instantly command it now. It helped with me working like with Dr. Levingood and all them other physicists and being in their lab, switching it on and on and on. And then it just when Lihi come along, I could feel all her energies and stuff. And all I had to do was just demonstrate a little bit, and she picked it up just instantly, and just boom. Now we make that, that perfect electrical team with it.
Yeah, it is. You guys are a perfect team. There's no question about that. So they're learning about. So these researchers at Rhine are learning a lot about you and how you're doing what you're doing, and basically operating out of a multi-consciousness, right? That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's not just one level; it's multi-levels for both of you.
Multi-levels for both of us. When you start feeling the energies out there, and especially if you were in extreme pain or so, and you come found us, and all we got to do is get you on the phone. We did it linked together, and so these energies just project, and it just is crazy for the amount of energy. How fast you'll quit hurting. We get people that'll drop out of their total pain in just a few seconds sometimes.
Right. We create this unified field, which we call the buyer field.
Yes.
Okay, that's what that is. All right. And so then people can just heal themselves with this powerful energy that you generate. Yeah, that's
it's
wonderful.
It's like you step in and plug into the main generator, and your body's healing systems jump in line and go to work.
Right.
So we're like power.
I mean, and doesn't it make sense that we're not utilizing all this? So by utilizing all these levels and all these energies, we're actually becoming an embodied, we're source embodied. We become buyer consciousness. So we're embodying, so every time we're meeting a different circumstance in our life, we go into that state. It's as if we're learning how to calibrate into that state. And eventually, I mean, I see the whole physical landscape without being attached to it. What not only on a physical level, it'll be healing on all levels. So the whole social interaction and connections will be different, because you'll be looking at somebody now from that state. Not from a state of, let's say, judgment, from a lower vibrational. Not that there's anything wrong with it. It's not about that. But opening up to all those energies, you become a total human being. You become your birthright. You're reclaiming your birthright.
Yeah, that's the goal. That's remarkable. Now, I know with Edd had his grandmother who gave him a lot of support as a young child to pursue this energy. And what about you, Lihi? Did you have someone special in your family that also encouraged you?
I didn't have anybody. I did have a grandmother as well. I was actually pretty isolated in my family. Everybody was doing their own thing, and I felt really alienated. You know what I mean? As if I was in my own, almost like on the autistic. The energies, I wasn't really able to integrate the outside energies. And because I was within myself. So I had this one grandmother that I actually related to, but she had dementia, but I would actually connect with her being. And and in fact, when she had this forgetfulness and this cognitive impairment, she started connecting to me as if I was her daughter. And I had and I was about 10 years old then. And it was such a natural, beautiful connection to just connect with her in that way, because I would really feel that she would also see me, but she didn't fit the external reality. Everything was kind of like off. So she was actually an influence in energy. I really felt very contained because in my younger years, but I would always kind of find my way with different connections, and I would always kind of see the, how could I call it? It would be just this pure state that I was always just kind of moving towards, this light state. So I would see these little boys or these little girls. I would always kind of move to that place. So I was always kind of in a different state of being.
Yeah, it was a whole different world for both Lihi and I.
And I never saw things in linear reality. I couldn't connect with people. I would find everybody so predictable because they weren't accessing these energies. That showed up throughout my life in relationships. You know what I mean? I couldn't really date these men. And I feel like they're very, very nice men, but their level of awareness was not there, their consciousness. Couldn't put it into words then. So I would always be seeking this state. I would always be looking for my beloved, which is the pure masculine, through source, being human.
Right.
And that's how I would meditate. Yeah.
Ah.
So it's really incredible to meet Edd, and it's always a discovery. It's always opening. It's always also little challenges or big challenges, and it's always unveiling. But that's the partnership.
Gosh, that's exciting. It really is. I love it.
Mm.
What an adventure you're both on.
Yeah, it's getting neater and neater. It's just like we're coming up with different ideas for our little group Zoom rooms, and we're just putting together, these just little different ideas and doing them, and having phenomenal results in people from all walks of life, all countries, all over the planet. I mean, we get people from many different countries all on the same show, and then they get the feedback, and we're causing all their pains from neuropathy to mental stress, emotional stress, and all that to just fade off in just minutes there in our little Zoom rooms. We were doing them, at an hour and stuff, but we're finding out we're getting just as good results in people in 25 minutes. All we got to do is just kind of like get you locked in and plugged in and blow the soot out of your operating system, and you start healing.
Yeah, that sounds efficient. Very efficient. Now, Edd, I want to bring up something quite remarkable that you did when you were on Coast to Coast AM with George Noory, and there was a hurricane going on. And could you tell us what happened and what you did? Do you remember?
Well, I mean, I've always played with lightning and stuff ever since a little kid. That stuff just fascinated me like crazy. And now knowing what I know today, I know that back when I was a little kid, I caused some of them lightning strikes that hit just right across the field from me, And so I guess while I was on his show that night, there was some big hurricane coming in toward Louisiana or so, and it was bearing down on them pretty hard and heavy, and they asked me if I could do anything. Now, I can't prove anything that I did anything, but I've always had a way of when I had a really kicking butt thunderstorm coming through of calming it out. It's like I could just kind of merge my brain in with the thunderhead there and then just de-escalate the amount of power flow that was going through it, and things would just kind of calm out. And so I just focused on it to calm out, and evidently, to our amazement, just in a matter of a few minutes, it kind of calmed out.
It did. It lowered the winds. I mean, the wind velocity was very, very high and quite concerning. And then they went to commercial break, and you worked on it. And when they came back from commercial break, the winds had calmed down significantly, measurably. It was amazing. It was. I know George was almost speechless, if that's possible, but he was really taken aback by what you did.
The thing that helped was having so many consciousnesses, because he's got a lot of people listening to that show, so there was a lot of consciousness, connectiveness there, and so all of us kind of focused, and I just kind of was like the captain of a ship steering it and collecting all that consciousness energy and focused on the problem.
Well, it was amazing. I know everybody talked about that one for a long time, so that was great. So I know that you've had some really great success over the years in treating people with photons and seeing them recover. As you talked about it, they are healing themselves, and I know stroke was a big thing. You were able to really see some positive differences with stroke and people regaining their motion. So I know you can't talk about specifics, but that was one that was quite interesting.
Well, it still is. We still get a hold of people and stuff, and now with Lihi joined in with me, she can help work and calm and help with the reconnection of the consciousness better than I was able to. I do the actual, like the physical, I'm the electrician. I come in, I strip the wires, clean them up, and make sure all the terminals are connected properly. And then she's kind of like the software engineer that then comes and works into the system to help everything reintegrate.
And open up the heart, Yeah.
And so I guess when I get them, I can get them back, start moving their arms and stuff that's paralyzed in just a few minutes and stuff. And with her, she can help bring them back in like, oh, wow, I am real. I'm a human, you know?
Yeah, they feel so much more relaxed.
Right.
Yeah,
and because with what you do, Lihi, with the mental and I would think, too, the spiritual component that you bring into all of this, if you just work on the physical, it's not going to lock in for very long. It'll lock in only temporarily. But when you bring in the emotional, mental, and spiritual components, then I would think it's a lot easier to lock it in and make it last.
Absolutely. That's absolutely right. And that's when the integration takes place and you're able to sustain it. Because the key is to be able to keep maintaining and sustaining. So all systems have to be up to par. You know what I mean? Your emotional system, your chakra system, your nervous system, all these different things. So the attitude of it. And once you start accessing these higher energies, I mean, there is the physical, but your awareness starts to become more purified. So you're able to see things from a much different lens. Therefore, you're able to work now better with the mental and the emotional. So I kind of work with that aspect. He works with the physical. He works with the mechanical. He works with all those ways. I mean, it's like an amazing connection. And then once we get into that space, I mean, there's the physical part of clearing the emotional, the physical, the mental. But then there's this whole other piece with this energy, and that's the powerful energy that we're bringing in, because we're bringing in basically this new, pure, sacred consciousness that's in its own right, which is who we are. So once we unfold and unveil as a humanity, we then can evolve in a much more harmonic way.
That's why I say just blow the soot out of them. And we go with it there. At least it brings it up in there in the form.
Now, Lihi, it's a great thing. With everything that people have been going through with COVID and the isolation and the fear, and I mean, you must be seeing, a very palpable level of fear even now with people. So when you have your clientele and you're working with them, do you feel that the work you do can then make these folks feel better faster and that it lasts for them despite the circumstances around them?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's so much going on in so many ways, right? Because people are dealing with a lot of fears that they could actually put under the rug prior, you know what I mean? Like this COVID thing has actually activated a lot more here, which is also on every level. So when these people, these individuals that are coming in with these, they've already been through an initiation, quite frankly. So, I mean, and I'll know, I mean, there's a lot of people now that are being called now for something more, that they know that they can't, whether it's conscious or not conscious, that they can't resolve their situation from their old mindset. You know what I mean? And, or to try to figure it out or change this or change that. So the key is now, is when they come to me with those fears, I work with them energetically. I mean, depending on where they're at, you know what I mean? And that's the art. There's an art to all this.
Yeah, Lihi, tell them about the Shanghai with Love event we did.
Oh, yeah, so go ahead. You can go tell them about that.
No, tell them about that, how we handled it, because that was right there exactly how you were describing it.
Yes, so we were doing this event for Shanghai, and Edd and I were resonating, and everybody was it's like when Edd and I are doing this work, we're resonating on every level. I will feel the field on this level here, so I will feel the dense emotions, the dense energy, which is not bad or good. It's just like it's just in the field. And I'll feel, and as we're doing this, people will start to just, especially with education, they start to just relax and unwind. There's a spaciousness that starts to come into play between the emotions, because once your mind starts accessing, your consciousness starts accessing what Edd and I are producing, there's a memory. There's some kind of, and more people are being called to that. So more and more people are being called to go beyond their fears, beyond their anxiety. And that's what I'm seeing as far as coming from the mental health field, that people are really, you have to point, you have to give them pointers, and you have to give them an understanding of it, but you're taking them out of that emotional state. And that's the energy work that's being done with it. So the COVID is really, it's an opportunity, actually. All this that's going on could be an opportunity to actually move through everything that you've been holding on to, because it's showing up. That's how I see it. Or it could be sustained and suppressed and contained in that space. But that's where that's the education, and the knowledge that there's something more.
So we were, we had friends with Shanghai in the Hong Kong University and stuff, connected us up, that invited us to do a Shanghai with Love program, because they were all in lockdown over there. They've all been shut down, so they hooked in a big Zoom thing and had Lihi and I in there sharing and working our energy to bring relief to all the people. And it was being translated by translators and different peoples and different groups there, just for the people of China. And so they were in desperate ways over there. And Lihi brought just a great love into the whole audience. And it was really fantastic having her there with me, working in that manner.
And that's wonderful. Especially, these types of cities, they are so congested. There's so many people living in basically very small spaces, and so they are, I think, hit the hardest when there's a lockdown, and you can't travel, you can't go here, you can't go there. Look at New York. There's so many people living there, and when they couldn't leave their apartments, it's I just can't even imagine that. I'm out in the middle of nowhere, so to me it was no different than usual life, because I'm out in the middle of nowhere. I'm out in the country. My neighbors are far away. It didn't really, the whole lockdown thing didn't really affect me the same way. But I thought a lot about people in cities, people in New York, people in anywhere, that have that type of high population in a small area. And I just can't even imagine it. But I really felt a lot of compassion for everybody going through it. What a wonderful thing you both did to help bring relief to what these folks are going through.
It was great, because Lihi lives up there in New York City. I visited here and there. And there is all that, like you say, that large number of people, not like it is there in Shanghai and stuff, where they're just packed in with everybody. And I can imagine how bad it was and stuff. But it was great to have Lihi down here in the country this past week. I saw a whole shift in her energy, getting her out of all that congested population, more out into the country. And it was so amazing to let that embed into her psyche now, for helping with all our future stuff that we're doing. I'm trying to talk her out of the city there. So.
Yeah, no, because what happens with this energy, you start to become more and more the purer you are as far as staying in that buyer state. But it's not about, oh my God, I need it, I want it, it's got to come to me. There's a elegance to it, in a sense. There's a because you're actually you're opening up to something that you're not controlling any longer. So as this energy starts to be a part of your life, buyer. And you start to, as you embody more of this energy and become more and more aligned, your reality changes, because your reality starts to kind of shift in the way that you are inner, So what I'm realizing or recognizing, anywhere that I've been able to tolerate, the more it's no longer in my alignment or in my natural way at all. It's never been, but it's there's much more awareness to it. So you shift and you move. And Ed, you're right. I was out in the country. I was just like, everything just moved and flowed. So it's also about that the internal-external relationship is what you kind of learn how to utilize with this energies.
And do you find, Lihi, we're doing great. We have another 35 minutes to go, so we've got time to do another demo. But I wanted to ask you, Lihi, the more you work with this energy, do you feel it's harder to live in New York?
Well, that's what. Yeah, I mean, I'm saying I don't find myself in the right. In my physical body is not in the right space to be the most efficient, effective, and open and health wise. Everything. So I find it that that the space, the physical space, is shifting and changing. But I'm doing it. Everything is done in such a grace, in a sense, because there's more than whatever meets the eye. As I shift and as I move, I'm working with these energies with everybody. I don't keep it. That's the love that I know. I mean, it's scientific. Scientists may call it biointrinsic resonant energy, which is an energy that we're utilizing, but it's just that kind of a movement. So it's really beautiful how it unfolds in your life. That's how I'm saying.
It's great the way that once Lihi and I interact with you, your lives change. You feel a whole shift in your whole kind of electric karma, whatever, and you start seeing and feeling that true connection to Source in a sense.
And Patricia and
great.
And Ed and I are constantly integrating our physical realities because we come from two different backgrounds. So over here we
sure do.
That's major because we're actually it's working on. We have a bigger commitment and a dedication to something that that's just moving us, which is buyer in a sense, right? But really over here, it could be like, oh my God, if I wasn't connected to what I was connected to with Ed, he wouldn't be in my reality because he'd get on my nerves, in certain ways. Like, oh, come on, or this or that, or I find him funny now, but later on it would be annoying, whatever it may be. So this is actually the work of being, we're doing the actual work of integrating this into being human, you know what I mean? And taking it from the form, so it's always an integration and a wholeness that we're creating. So Ed and I now can just kind of, it's always a discovery. The energy always reveals itself. And when you're in a relationship with anybody in any way, it shows up. So
that's a wonderful point. Because it does show up in everybody's relationship, and a lot of times we deal with it in a really crude manner, and so things are more difficult or they don't work out or whatever. But you're talking about a whole shift and change and refined energy to be able to look at this differently. Because clearly we annoy the heck out of each other. It doesn't matter who the partner is. We do.
Exactly.
And, yeah,
that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty is to see those annoyances or those nuances, because now you're kind of knowing there's other things that come into play. Ed and I are accessing some other realms or other our levels of consciousness, but it doesn't mean that I don't find it in my an emotion doesn't come up in me. You know what I'm saying? Or it feels uncomfortable. The difference is that I'm utilizing all those other functions, so it moves. You know what I mean? It doesn't stay in my mind and keep ruminating. If I find that the buyer helps that to just kind of dissolve, because now you're not accessing from a limited place. You're accessing from an unlimited state.
Yeah, you're both asking a lot of each other. You are.
Not kidding.
You're both asking a lot of each other, which is really inspiring.
Thank you very much. Thank you for
we are forming. We are coming into a new creation here, because I'm telling you, it's like mixing grease with water right here with us two.
Yes, we understand that.
I'm not sure who's the grease and who's the water here.
Yeah, it's always unraveled, but we. Yeah, but you know what? There's an awareness that we're not even separate. That's the peace. You know what I mean? It doesn't come from the thinking brain, from another place. In fact, the ego wants to go.
Oh God, yeah.
So
yeah. It's like you left your toothpaste in the sink again. Yeah, I know. So yes. But you guys are paving the way of handling a relationship quite differently, which, again, it's very inspiring. It is.
Yeah, it's opening up all kinds of new doors.
Sometimes I feel that our interactions are, it's like I'm interacting with Ed, and it's Lihi and Ed interacting, but I feel like there's some other, like I feel like I'm also taking on the energies and, the lower vibrational energies and I'm working it through Ed and I, even if it's not our personal thing. It's an interesting thing. So we're constantly lubricating, and it's been. Thank you for seeing this. Has been really. It's a beautiful work. It's a beautiful creation that we're doing, and it takes a lot of work, patience, and love. And
it does, but it gets you out of the hamster wheel that so many of us get caught in our relationships, and then we start building the list against the other person, which is easy to do for anybody. And it becomes very frustrating for many couples, and that's why we have such a high divorce rate. But at other times, it's important to say goodbye to your current partner and move on. Clearly you and Ed have met each other later in life, so we know you've had other people involved in your lives before, but now you found each other, and that, again, meant that you had to let go of other people. So all of that is part of this amazing journey you're both on, I think.
And you know what's so amazing? It's that it's unknown. I don't, the unfoldment and the unveilment doesn't come from a mindset that says this is how it's going to be. Yeah, you have maybe a vision that's driving you and taking you or however it is, but it's not. So that's the adventure. That's the wonder of what this energy is, because it's uncontainable. And as Ed and I move with him, he moves with me. If I'm going a certain way, it affects him. If I, so we're kind of moving in that way to build this buyer state right here in this reality that we could see it here, moving everywhere.
And we are creating something nice.
Yeah, because you couldn't do this work together if you harbored, bad feelings towards each other. It couldn't happen, I would imagine, because that's a whole other vibration rate. So very interesting what you're both doing on so many levels.
Absolutely right. And it doesn't mean that I don't ride those levels, but I'm a frequency harmonic, so I move through it. I recognize that. And that's the key, because you have to know when couples meet and they say, I fell in love, and they meet in that state, and then later life gets in the way and this and that, and there's, you did this, I did that, he said, she said. It's really, this buyer consciousness is really about remembering what that, because when you've had that honeymoon period, you just kind of lost yourself. You know what I mean? What were you accessing? Everybody accesses the state, but they don't sustain it, and that's the key here is for a couple or any relationship to be able to see all those levels in the other people. So if you fell in love with your partner and you had that experience and that opening, why aren't you experiencing it now? You know what I mean? So how do you integrate through all those levels as a frequency vibration, which is what Ed and I do? Because every time we have we have to kind of realign into a new, and we do. Yeah. Because we're not, we're beyond the attachment to proving, you did this to me. It can come up here and there, but there's an awareness, and that's the letting go.
It's a good connection. That's the difference. And so, Lihi, kind of go into what we're getting ready to do. Don't tell them where, but just tell them about the resort thing.
You tell them. You start off, and I'll add on.
Well, before COVID, I met a few friends out in the Midwest that I just thought they operated a little metaphysical healing center or something, little thing, which I used to bounce around, did a lot of little events and talks at them and stuff around the country. And they had this other friend, they said they had just bought this 50-acre old horse ranch out in the country, and they wanted to do a kind of a healing retreat center in it and stuff, and wanted me to kind of come look at it, see what was going on. Now, this was way before the COVID. This was, back yonder a few years, and because after being down there at Hippocrates, doing energy work at Hippocrates in Florida, this was kind of reminded me of that, of what they wanted to do. So I wanted to go be part of it. So I'm working on doing that and everything. So they've got a nonprofit, and they work with the Veterans Department. And one of the big things is they're going to be working with veterans with PTSD, neurological disorders, those that's dealt with Agent Orange and stuff, where Lihi and I have already worked now some with vets that had the Agent Orange effects, and we're seeing promising results with this energy. So we'll be able to help them in with what they're already going. But I got there, and I went out and hung out with them for a little while, a month or so ago, and I got there when it was just kind of in a downtime where I could just interact with the owners and stuff for what's going on. They had just a skeleton crew there and all, and I figured that's all they had going on. They talked about buying these wheelchairs that had tracks instead of chairs, so that the quadriplegic, paraplegics, and those could go out trail riding and stuff, and just great ideas and all. And they started talking about all these other things they was going to do, and I said, well, how are you going to squeeze all that in 58 acres? I said, oh, no, this is just stage one. We also got another 4,000 acres across the street.
Oh, my goodness.
So
wow.
They're getting ready to do a huge resort area with healing, yoga, with salt suites, with all kinds of goodies.
Horseback riding, healthy food, yoga.
And
Gosh,
they're going
that's
to build
wonderful.
100 glamping sites. They've already got a paintball range. They got all kinds of stuff going on. And they've got a 300-man carpenter crew that's going at it like crazy right now.
They even have the vineyard.
That's fantastic. Oh, vineyards.
So,
oh, my God. They thought of everything. That's just amazing. And I think if there's any group that needs your help, that's it. The veterans. I mean, everybody does. But the veterans are so, I don't know what's wrong with this. Well, I do know what's wrong with this administration. But the veterans are not being treated fairly. And this is wonderful that you guys are a part of this great event and location. It just is terrific. Congratulations. That's great.
So we can't say no more on it right now. We want it to kind of come on into fruition. We'll be working with it in different ways until it, takes total form. But they're building on it like crazy. So we're going to have like a healing center. We're going to have a state-of-the-art EEG lab. I mean, most advanced one on the planet that Ross is going to come out and, do all the instrumentation and run it. And they're just going to build us everything we need for research center, retreat center, all kind of people will be able to come in for glamping and take sessions and week retreats, and then they can be long-term people. They're looking at several hundred A-frame cabins, little cabins to kind of follow in the design and stuff of the place.
Yeah, it could be if somebody, wants to just camp out, they can camp out. If somebody wants something that's more luxurious and wants to have, so it basically it kind of feeds for everybody. And I love their attitude about it and their where they come from it, because the consciousness that they're bringing into this is really it's not a coincidence that this is happening, and how we're meeting and how we're unfolding.
That's great. You must be so excited about this. This is wonderful.
So we're going to be able to have a great center there, a great teaching campus, everything.
God, that is absolutely great. That's great. Well, should we do the second demonstration now? And then I want to ask you both a couple more questions. And Michelle, if you have any questions, this will be our chance after our last demo.
Okay. Sounds good.
Sounds
good.
Do
you guys want to go for round two?
Yes, we are.
Let's go for it.
Okay, now this time it's going to be a much stronger than it was the first time.
Yeah.
All righty.
Because all of you been connected with us really good since we did the first time. So Lihi and I kind of have been integrating our energies in with our discussions here, so that not only you received in hearing from us, but you picked up through the quantum field all kinds of other knowledges. Kind of link you into the Akashic records if you understand it that way. Let you know who you are.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
That always helps.
Lee and I are rocking it back and forth right now. Just see how you feel. You're standing up there. And be careful.
Yep, we
if it comes
are
on
rocking.
stronger than it'll get you into a bind there. I mean, I've had people go all over the room there after the second time. So your body's
definitely
getting
stronger
acclimated to what we're doing. All right, Lee, let's pull them toward us, like pull them all forwards. So that should have you up on your toes a little bit. Okay, now let's let off of it. Let's reverse the electrical polarity on our ends. And so it's just like there's a big old balloon filling up between me and Lihi and all of you. So it's projecting and pushing. So any aches and pains, stress, or any of those things, you're getting just blasted with that kind of energy right now. So when we do our private sessions, I'm blasting you with this energy, bringing it in. Lihi's pulling on in with the chakra through her end, and you're just getting all super tuned. All right, Lee, let's just let them wobble.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're wobbling.
Yeah.
And so your bodies right now, if you got any problems anywhere, you may be noticing tingling in certain areas warming up or relaxing. The electrical energy that Lihi and I are producing is causing all your muscles to just relax and allowing your cardiovascular system to dilate. That's allowing much greater blood flow and circulation all through your bodies. These are things we're seeing already. We're looking at ways of doing further research into them.
Right. Just always remembering that, just to kind of notice that you're breathing in and out, because we can have a tendency to hold our breath. So the energy is able to flow and lubricate as the breath.
So everybody standing up should be all over the place, kind of fingers tingling, toes tingling. Those that couldn't stand to sit down, you're feeling the force inside your body, moving your innards and all. And if you're just laying there, you can feel the waves of energy passing through your nervous system. It's just like you're floating in the ocean back and forth. Yeah. All right, Lee, let's set them down and proceed wherever the path may take us.
So, Michelle, did you feel a difference that time?
I did. It definitely felt stronger.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like almost more responsive to it. Like, once again, before the first time I felt like I was ahead of what he verbally said was going to happen. And then this time I felt like before Ed said it, I was even a couple of seconds ahead of where I was last time. So kind of like I was already responding to it even, much faster.
Yeah, when your brain starts opening up and processing on multiple levels of consciousness, and when we demonstrate this, it causes all of you that take part in this for those things to kind of happen. It makes your brains kind of mimic what our brains are doing to cause the processes. So when that starts happening, it gets stronger and stronger through there.
Right, and it's cumulative.
Yes. Very accumulative. You may not see you for a year, and then next time we see and do it, it'll even be stronger.
Yeah, it just builds.
Wow.
Yep.
That's amazing. So how would someone book a one-on-one session with the two of you?
Well, go to the Buyer Consciousness, BIRE-consciousness.com, just Edd and Lihi, and then where it says private sessions, and events and private sessions button. It'll be up on the top menu button. It'll take you to a Acuity booking calendar, and from there you can choose either the little events we do each week on Zoom or book a private session with us. And be sure to set the time zone that you're in before you go to the next move on our little calendar, and that way it'll adjust the timing to fit your time zone without you having to worry about be there at any time, blah, blah. You know what I mean?
Right.
Make
That's amazing. Yes. I have a
So
question.
go there.
Have you ever worked with people who are autistic, and do you see a difference when you're working with them? And what kind of differences do you tend to see? Like if it's someone who is nonverbal, do they tend to become more verbal, or what kind of things are you seeing?
That's one of my favorite things to work with is autistic kids. In fact, one of my star students there in my kids, program is autistic. I started with him 5 years ago, and he just like come out of the box overnight and all. And so when we get a hold of with the autistics, like we'll go in, there'll be the autistic kids, there'll be that they can't even pay attention more than just a few seconds, all over the place. When we get in there and turn the energy on, the kids just lock right into us. They feel it, they realize it. They come and they sit in our presence or be in our awareness, whether it be in person or on Zoom and stuff. It gets in there and locks into them. They love it. I was even part of a study back in 2012. I'll remember the doctor's name here, Robin Oppenheim, and she had the study where we was using teenagers above 11 and 12 years old and up with anxiety, depression, and autism. And so they would bring me in to work with 5 to 8 kids, the counselors and the parents of all these kids, and 2 state guys twice a month for a 4-month period there. And so they followed these different kids, and all I would do was go in and for about an hour to 2 hours teach the kids, all of them, the parents and everybody, all at the same time in a conference room, how to get in touch with your energies, how to play with your energies, and how to interact with them. And then the counselors kept up with all the data every day from the kids on through the whole study. Most all of the kids with anxiety and depression, their problems went away in about 2 weeks after they learned about themselves. The autistic kids, they started coming out of the box, being more talkative, more cognitive responses with their parents and stuff. And so that's it's a published program. I don't have access to it right this moment, but it's under Dr. Robin Oppenheim out of Atlanta, Georgia. Around 2012 is when the study was done.
Yeah, so there's no wonder. I mean, what this can do for the whole mental health system.
Yeah, I've been wanting to get into the mental health, but I didn't know which way to go, and then I just stumbled into, or we were drawn together. It wasn't no stumbling to it. Me and Lihi were drawn together. And with what she does in the mental health is just like a major breakthrough for me being able to introduce this to that realm, and that's what, is another thing. She smoothed out the old masculine country boy effect and kind of said a little bit. And I've been trying to make a country girl out of her a little bit. I didn't get quite as far with her as she's got with me, but we're making progress.
That's great. That is great.
So,
that's a tough one. Autism. It's a real tough one. So anybody who can make progress with that's amazing. So I know
I look forward to all of it.
Yeah, it's nice to see that kind of progress too. With nonverbal kids. I mean, to see them talking, it's like a miracle right there. But now I know, Ed, we've talked about this before. Yeah. Let me just bring this up again, because I love talking about this with you. And Lihi, as I recall, you haven't had a similar experience, but if you've had something otherworldly, I want to know about it. But Ed, tell everybody about when you met those aliens, what you thought they were.
I thought they were just other inbred kids. That I lived there in the Appalachian Mountains, and I'd already. My mom worked with the medical system part-time around there, and then she worked with human health and resources, and I would go with her when she would go out to these houses that, look like out of the back of Jed Clampett's place, and with these families that were really, really in poor shape and stuff, and she would help, bring them medical supplies or do different little things, and they would just be down just some of the worst, wildest roads you ever seen, and then pull up, and they didn't have no electricity, had outhouses, and the kids looked like little, aliens running around there. So I was already kind of exposed to that, and then when I got in preschool, I became kind of friends with Billy Redden, and the other kids in my area, and Billy Redden later on was the kid that played the dueling banjos in the movie Deliverance, which was filmed in my area also.
Right.
And stuff. So I was just, exposed and seeing all that. So when I was out to eat with my mom and dad one night, of course, I couldn't be anywhere else. I was 6 years old, and we always went to this little restaurant out in the country there, a little bit more country than just our little town a few miles out. It was friends of theirs, and then there was this old car lot that had all these A models, T models in it, real neat-looking old cars. So we'd go in there and eat and stuff, and when I get done eating, I'd say I want to go outside and play, and, I was 6 years old, so they let me go on out and play, and I always liked going over to that car lot because they always left the doors open on all them old cars. I'd get up in them, play with them old cars, toot the horns, accidentally cranked one of them one time, glad that thing was in neutral, and did things like that, and it was just so fascinating. But then there was this one night back in there around 1964, I went over there toward it. I came out of the restaurant and was going over there toward the car lot, and I seen this pulsating orange glow. And from the distance, I just thought it was a fire burning back there, and I was just going to kind of wander around through there and walk up kind of over toward it just to see what it is, because I am a very curious person, that goes along with the mischievous stuff. And so I wandered my way over there, and I come out from behind two cars there and stuff, and it wasn't a fire. It was a funny-looking A-model car or something that was pulsating on and stuff, And then the moment I seen that, then I turned and glanced to the right. There was these four funny-looking kids that I thought were, inbred, like they had already been exposed to around there. And, and I didn't think, because in an area that never heard of UFO or anything, aliens or not, that was, Southern Baptist area. They didn't talk that subject at all. And so I didn't know anything about anything. But these funny-looking kids looked at me and looked like they kind of grinned. And then all of a sudden I started hearing stuff in my head. And then they started pulling and pushing me with their mental thought waves, like like me and Lihi are doing now. So they pulled me, then they pushed me, and then they showed me in my mind how to do that, what it took, how to change that electrical polarity. Now, see, I was already doing some little stuff with electricity because my grandmother had cultivated it in me as a baby. I think they picked up on that. So they took what I was already had a little knowledge of and kind of gave me the operator's manual, what to do with it. And just I just was told to practice it, and I did. So I practiced their technique my whole life. And it was about 2 weeks later when I accidentally learned how to use it to make people expel gas in church during silent prayer. That's when my really good mischievous days were born.
My gosh.
For the rest of my life from that point on, I've interacted with this energy mentally and consciously hundreds of times every day, nonstop.
Yeah, that's tremendous. So, I just am so thrilled you were able to share that story with everybody tonight. Now, Lihi, as I recall, you didn't have per se any kind of UFO contact, but certainly with the energy that you have had all your life, have you had experience with contacting beings from other dimensions?
Yeah, I mean, I have like invisible relationships with beings from other realms. I mean, it's just, that's where I go, you know. It's not, it's outside of this place, you know, and it's not even charged from this place. It's like it's not coming from here, you know. So I have that kind of thing. I have also It's like I'm meeting different people on different levels, you know, and that's how I access it. And as far as ETs and stuff like that, it's only in dreams that I've had like UFO experiences and stuff like that, but they're very, very vivid. And that I remember it as if it is now. And also with the telepathy, opening up a door, because it was like I was in there and opening up, and all of a sudden there was connection. There was it's like I knew not to open up my mouth. It was just another place, another time that I was experiencing in, you know, via the dream.
Right.
And then I met Edd
that's
Edwards.
Fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
So
you did.
Bringing it, no, but that's exactly it. It's about bringing that ET consciousness, that you, all those levels, and bringing it here. And that's the connection that I have with Edd. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so beautiful.
I'm the little alien.
You think you are?
Yeah, they wrote a song about me, Eddie the Alien.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, please again, guys, give your websites, because we're running out of time, unfortunately. This has been such a delight having you both here and introducing you to many more of our audience members and to Michelle. But what are the websites people need to go to contact you?
Just go to the Buyer Consciousness, and I'll spell it, which is www.bire-consciousness, spelled CONCIOUSNESS.com. Consciousness.com. That's buyer-consciousness.com. And so when you get there, it's, you know, we're still kind of putting it together. You know, they're a little rough around the edges, but sign up for the newsletter and that page. And then when we do stuff, you'll be notified what we're doing. We send out about one newsletter a week right now. And sometimes, too, when we have special events and stuff there. So just watch for what we're doing, and we'll give you different links there to follow through that site there that'll have all the stuff that we got going on. So we're going to have our research stuff there. We're going to have what we're growing into there, and then some old stuff. You can find links back to my old website there from there.
And also the video on demand.
Yeah, we've got a video on demand now, you know, so if you can't come to us, can't get to us, and you got a headache or you can't sleep in the middle of the night, go get it, go on there to it, and just, you know, go through the process. What we charge? We charge $12.88 for about 3 viewings of it, so listen to it and see what happens to you if you got any whatevers.
That sounds great. Well, again, thank you both so much for joining us tonight. This has been wonderful, and I promise it's not going to be 2 years before you come back again. So thank you so much, Edd and Lihi. This has been wonderful, and we will be back again next week with another great show.
Good night.
Until then,
Thank you.
see you on the Blue Highway. Good night.
Bye-bye. Good night. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. Tune in next week for another radio adventure with Supernatural.